Okay. That's annoying to see reflection in my glasses. That's a little bit better. Okay. We'll give it just another minute. Give people time to pop on. Let's see. I have not done a live stream in so long that I actually forgot that I had to sign in and do all this stuff, and so it took me a minute. Never mind. Oops. Hook up my phone as well. Hey, how are you, Lynn? It is good to see you, and thank you for all your sweet comments. Thank you for popping on here tonight. Happy Friday. Or I was in the doctor's office yesterday and I asked the nurse how she was doing. And she's like, oh, great. It's almost Friday. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah, that's right. Oh. So I'm going to give it just another minute. Seems like we have a couple more popping on. Seemed like that a lot of people, I don't want to say felt sorry for me, had a lot of compassion for me with the last video of my mayonnaise. And Sarah over from Tiny Shed Life, she is doing some pressure canning, and so go check out hers because I think that she faced a few challenges, as did I, and she's a good friend of mine and is a great little channel. Much like our little cabin here, they have several children still at home, and she and her husband have built a really, really nice little house from a couple sheds. So you might want to check that out. Yeah. Yes, every day does kind of blend into the next when you're no longer out in the workforce. That is true. I think I get more done, more work at home, but yeah, a lot of times I have come to the point where I don't know what day of the week it is most of the time. And the dates I have a calendar out, a planner all the time. Because I get behind. Like my doctor's appointment was yesterday, but the night before I thought it was Tuesday. So I thought today, so I was all messed up. And Dean was like, no, your appointment's tomorrow. And I was so thankful. Yeah. I got Dean's dinner halfway made and he's finishing it up for me. Okay. Our weather here is getting very, very cold. We're supposed to have like some sort of Arctic wind blow through here. I think the high next week, this remaining of this week, something like that, is supposed to like be 20, 25, something like that. We haven't had any more snow. We had a Christmas snow, which was so nice, but we had another snow here, a couple inches, maybe, but we haven't had the snowpack that we desperately need in order to have adequate water for the summer, so that we're not in threat of wildfires during that season. It gets windy sometimes here in the summer, and with it being dry and hot, that is dangerous, very dangerous. And wildfire has always scared me. And after seeing what's going on in California right now, it terrifies me, because we do fire mitigation. We keep everything a certain distance from our house, the chicken coop and all of that. But if we really had a wildfire, I mean, you can't beat Mother Nature a lot of times. So is everybody out in my world staying nice and warm with this winter weather? I know that I have some that are in Florida, and Dean's dad used to live in Florida before he passed away, and we used to go down there, and whew, that place stays hot. Well, I am going to have a February Azure order. I didn't for December and January because I'm always a little worried about the weather. But I am down. I was filling up the flower jar today, and it was like I am down to just a little bit of flour, and that's not good. And what else was it? Cheese. I'm completely out of cheese. So anyway, I will have a February Azure order. I'm working on that now. Well, I will just go ahead and I will start off because at first I was just going to, and if anybody has anything to say, just go ahead and type it into the little chat section, either on your phone or your laptop, your iPad, whatever you use. I am on my computer. I have my phone hooked up here, but I'm getting the chat messages roll through here on my laptop, so that's good. So the big thing that I had was my doctor appointment, the update on my back. So I'm doing a lot better today. I fully expected that my surgeon would say, let's try another injection. The first one didn't really do much. He told me it would probably take several days. It probably took 5 days to kick in. I still had some issues, but I did notice more mobility. So I went in fully expecting her to say, let's try another injection, and that we were going to probably head toward the, what did she call it, Dean? Minimally invasive procedure, which was, I asked her what the name of the procedure was, and she said a foraminotomy, which is they drill into your vertebrae that's encased, and they make a hole, creating a passageway for the nerve root. And unfortunately, she pulled up my MRI. That's what they were looking to do, but the area where she needs to work is the area where my scoliosis starts to kind of twist. So I also have a stenosis there from a large section. So she has very little to work with. And her concern was that in doing so, it could possibly destabilize the scoliosis, and it would just really get bad really fast. So, not what I wanted to hear, but she has a partner and she's going to confer with him. And then that way, that's given a second opinion. And she's going to call me and let me know what he says next Friday. If he wants to try it, then I'm going to go ahead with that. But again, the shots, the this foraminotomy that I'm talking about, um, it is relieving the symptoms. It's buying me time, basically, because reconstruction's in my future, and that stinks. And that's what I've been most afraid of. So, but that's the only way to correct that. When I was 29 is when I found out. They said I had a mild scoliosis, and I was in the hospital having my daughter, and that's when it was found. They just said it was very mild. I thought nothing more about it because um, I was grown. I didn't think any more about it. I wasn't growing anymore, and I thought, well, big deal. I'm doing fine. So by the time that I'm my age now, it was 31 degrees. And so she said, it, you know, probably around a degree or so a year. But my daughter is getting ready to turn 24, and I made it from like just a couple degrees to 31 in that amount of time. So it would be in early in what do you call it? In the low 40s. And, you know, I don't want to continue to get older and then have a major surgery. It is a major surgery. I would be in the hospital 5 days, and they're talking about close to a 6-month recovery time. And that's just why I wanted to avoid it like the plague for multiple reasons. And so that really is going to mess with my life for a while. If that's the route I have to go, I would have a lot to prepare for. Dean and I talked about it, and if it is the way that I have to go, eventually it is. If this other surgeon says, I think the chances for success for this minimally invasive procedure are just too low to risk it, then I'm going to go ahead with the reconstructive surgery. Just because I'm not getting any younger, and I want the problem to be fixed. It's painful, and I'm going to try to put it off to like September. Hopefully, just hoping that I can, because I want to have the spring and summer is crazy busy around here. And the garden, as you guys already know, brings me so much joy. And I think I would need a big dose of joy before something like that. And I want to be able to have my garden season and bring things in. And so what if I don't get to clean it up the way, that I want? But I would have all of that to be thankful for. And I think that it would not be as depressing as it would be if I was trying to recover during the summer. So, of course, I'm a planner. And so if I had this done in September, I'm thinking that I could be recovered by March. And my brother just popped on, and he's telling me 5 days in the hospital if I'm lucky. I'm not lucky, Michael, you know that. But I'm hoping. I am using this as a big, big faith building experience. Hi, Kelly. My brother is more experienced in this. His daughter had this reconstructive surgery this past summer. And so I very much value his knowledge on that. And, just watching how well she's done is encouraging, especially since I'm not her age. So, yeah. So 5 days in the hospital if I'm lucky, huh, Mike? She said it would be, a definite 5 days, and up to a 6-month recovery. So that's that news. That's where that stands. And hi on the Hill Homestead, Northern Maine. Oh my gosh. I have an aunt that lives up there and it is freezing cold all the time, it seems like. So I hope you guys are handling the snow weather well. Michael, how is your sweet girl doing? I haven't checked in with you in a couple weeks. Um, she did say, my surgeon did say, because I was just a little upset about it at the time yesterday, and she did say she would put me in touch with someone that has basically like a similar, very similar condition that I do, and that's close to my age, around my age, and they're at their 3-month post-op period. And so I was like, yes, yes, please put me in touch with someone. I'd love to be able to talk to them. At the same time, I'm this person that says, she's not going to put me in touch with somebody who's had a bad experience. What surgeon's going to do that? So this lady has probably done super well, and she's probably up and doing cartwheels or something, and not this girl. Um, and this is going to be hard on Dean too. Speaking of planning, yes, I thought for sure, since that I was going to have this minimally invasive procedure, I have this little notebook. I had already been planning a huge Azure order so that, I figured a 4 to 6 weeks recovery. I'm going to get all this stuff in here. I'm going to cook all these meals so that, everything is done. And, Dean just has to, take care of a few things around here, but meals would not be one of them. He's not in the kitchen ever at all. So I had like 2 pages of stuff, so that's blown out of the water. I don't even know where to start from here, but needless to say, I will get a plan. I will get a plan down. So right now, those are the 2 biggest things going on in my world. Yes. Yes, Kelly, that's true. Kelly had back surgery, and she was saying that you have to have a good mindset that will help. The surgeon told me yesterday, and at first, I always take Dean with me because I think that like I get stuck sometimes, and I start thinking about this major surgery, and I'm like, oh, and I just start zoning out. So I take him with me so that he can get a perspective and he can hear and kind of fill in the gaps for me when I'm in the car and asking him questions. And she told me that I was going to have to get in a good headspace for this. That's when she offered to let me speak to someone who's had this done. And she knows, I let her know that my niece has had this done. My niece has severe scoliosis, but she was saying that adolescent idiopathic scoliosis is much different and how an adult one works, probably because kids are like so resilient, and they're young and they have you know um body's just different. Oh, to be a teenager again. But anyway, she told me, she says, you're going to have to get in a good headspace about this. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's a big ask for me, for something like this, especially when, you know, I have all these ideas of how my life is supposed to be and what I'm supposed to be doing and how I want it to be. And stuff like this just blows it out of the water. Yeah, my niece was 5 days in the hospital and 6-month recovery. Oh my God, Michael. She's a young teenager, my niece, Olivia. I did not realize she had this back in June. She'd had a severe scoliosis. And I guess since Michael, you're popping in here before I say much more, I don't, let me know if it's okay for me to share her story. I feel like I'm sticking to the back of the chair. Oh, wow. But kids are just amazing. And my brother has told me that she's officially released from her pre-op time. and that she can play sports now if she wants. Oh my gosh. If they let my niece play sports, oh, I would be the mother that would be like, "Oh my god, don't do this. Don't jump too high. Don't." Uh, yeah. Yeah. Lynn's telling me it doesn't mean I'm not gonna be able to do anything for 6 months. I'm not gonna be able to do the things that I'm used to be doing now. It's like I've had a back surgery before. I had a pretty decent one 10 years ago, and I was in a much different place 10 years ago as well. I was working full time. I had 2 teenagers at home, and that's a whole nother ball game. And my mom, I had my mom 3 hours away, and she came and stayed a week with me and took one of my kids for a week. And I went back to work after 4 weeks. So I do know from that one that um, I had to be like, I stayed in a gravity chair and I had to be on my back for 45 minutes. And I was encouraged to get up and walk for 15. And I could not bend over. I could not lift more than 5 pounds. So, like, I did a huge grocery shopping and really didn't go too many places. It didn't go anywhere. Not until I was 3 weeks post-op and went to my daughter's ball game. But I told her about that surgery and how hard recovery was for me. And she's very forthright, so I respect that. She's very confident. I've had more visits with her than I had with the neurosurgeon who did my surgery 10 years ago. But she told me, she says, that surgery, that recovery was a walk in the park compared to reconstruction. And I just thought, oh dear God, help me, because that was rough. So I don't think it's going to mean I can't do anything. My brother, he's on here, like I said. Oh, good. Thank you, Michael. She was saying my niece doesn't mind to share her story. Michael, you can tell me better of, like, when you come home after having that surgery, what could Olivia do? Just because I don't know. I know I'm not gonna be able to do the things that I'm used to doing around here. I know I'm not gonna be able. If I had it, let's say in March, I would not expect at the 3-month mark, June, to be down in my gardening my 500 square feet garden. I don't anticipate that. It's the unknown for me, and I don't like that. I'm a planner. I write things down and I check them off, and you know, I know that she said that bending at the waist would go away forever. And I thought about that last night in the shower. I'm like, you bend at the waist so much and you don't think about it. So I've been trying yesterday evening and today, seeing, just trying to be more aware and seeing how much I do bend. They say that you have to stoop. Wow, yeah. The right drugs will help in recovery. That's another thing here in Colorado. There's a lot of, because of marijuana and things like that being legal, mushrooms are now legal in Colorado. This past election cycle, it blows my mind that that's legal, but it makes it difficult for people in my situation because doctors are more hesitant to prescribe, um, because so many people are doing recreational things. And I'm hoping I'm not going to have a problem with that. I know that the medication I'm on now for pain, on Lyrica and Flexeril. As you can tell, it has some side effects. It makes me slower in my thoughts. It kind of, what I'm thinking doesn't always come out of my mouth. And He's like, "I don't really see it that much, but I feel it. I feel like there's this long pause from my thought to getting it out." But they don't put refills on them every single time I go through it. I've gotta get in touch with their office, and you guys know how prescription refills. Hi, South Carolina, Alabama, you guys must be so warm right now. Or I don't know if you guys got, that big snow that the East Coast did. Oh, geez. Michael's saying that you can't do much of anything when you come home on recovery from surgery, from that type of reconstructive surgery. It's mainly finding a comfortable position. Doing that now. I can't imagine how much worse it would be. Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty upset about having to have this type of surgery too. And for some of you just popping on, my niece, my brother's on. He said that she didn't mind if I shared her story, what I know about it, because I'm not there. But I know that for the longest time, I believe Olivia and Michael, anytime I'm wrong, pop on here and tell me, and I'll correct myself. But I believe Olivia was diagnosed with scoliosis at 12 and couldn't have the surgery at that time because her growth plates had not come together. She was not finished growing. You don't want to give a reconstructive surgery to a child who's not finished growing. So I guess now she's a teenager now. God, it's hard to believe. And was able to be done. She had it done back in June. We were all praying for her, and she has an extensive scar. From the back of her neck, I think it's right to her lumbar area. And my parents went and saw her, of course, and my brother sent pictures, and I cried. My heart broke for that baby. And I admired her for her strength to do something like that, how scary. She was in surgery 8 hours. And that's about the amount of time she told me it would take, 8 hours. That's a long time to not be in control of your breathing and all those things. Wow, Breezeway. What is your degree of scoliosis? I believe my niece, of course, she had adolescent, but I believe her curve was like 70%. It was insane. She did gain several inches in height. She's a twin, and her younger twin was taller than her. And in pictures and stuff, you could definitely tell that she was much shorter, and it was because of the scoliosis. And so when her surgery was complete and she was able to get up and walk around, and my brother sent me pictures of her walking around, she was like a couple inches taller than her twin. And it was just amazing. So that's what I'm wondering, what degree your scoliosis is, because my niece's was from pictures and stuff, I felt like was getting obvious. Mine, I don't know. I try to look at it and see. I'm at the point in my life though, I'm like, I don't care anymore. I mean, I care for my health and well-being. I don't If somebody looks at me and says, "Oh, that lady, she looks a little crooked," whatever. But I do know from having PT that, of course, my hips, one's higher than the other, and my shoulder, one's higher than the other. So I'm a little crooked, but not, I don't think, I don't know. I don't think when I walk around, people notice it. So I've told you a lot about me tonight. So I want to open this up for any of you guys, if any, any questions, any homesteading questions, things that you would like to see. Right now, I'm a lot of times, most of my days are spent in the kitchen or with the chickens or the dogs, because there's nothing going on down at the bottom of the property. But, so what degree, do you know what degree your scoliosis is? One of our friends here, she has scoliosis as well. She's having a hard time with it. And she's able to wear a corset brace. So I'd be interested, to know what your scoliosis is. Azure Hall, February. I'm going to have a big one. I'm out of a lot of things, and the weather is weird around here, but I have to get it in now. So I think it should be, they'll deliver the week of February 9th is what I read for my drop. So that week is when I will have an Azure Hall. But yeah, also, I didn't know if any of you would be interested, especially after my last debacle in the kitchen trying to make mayonnaise. I did get some avocado oil. Thank you everyone for that advice. I did get some, and I'm going to try it again. I'm determined to get it down, but I have used what I made, and it's pretty good. I mean, it kind of got a little bit more solidified in the refrigerator, but it's still like a little off, and it's probably because of the olive oil. But I used it in pimento cheese. I've used it in ham salad. You saw that. But it's pretty good. It's okay. It's not, I need to work on that. But after that, I have a big bag of beef fat from the half steer we purchased back in the fall. And so I brought it up out of the freezer, and I was going to render that into tallow. And so that I have that, kind of like lard is, I can use that for cooking and all sorts of different things. So I didn't know if you'd be interested in seeing me render render beef fat into tallow. Oh, so you are an Azure order as well. I think a lot of you guys are. So that is great. I love Azure. I do. I found them when I was dreaming of homesteading, when it was just a dream for me. And for those of you who haven't been with me as long, I really kind of fell apart not fell apart, but like I was so ill prepared for COVID. And when all that mess happened, and it really shook me like into reality. We'd have these big storms from time to time. Our electricity was always going out back there. And we lived in a really nice neighborhood with a lot of the university employees. And it was out like that winter for 5 days. We had 2 fireplaces. We didn't have a wood stove insert. We lived like urbanites because we were, and there was everything was, always fine. And I would prepare for like storms, like, have some extra canned goods and, some bottled water, but I was not prepared for anything like that. Then I went searching, and I saw that a lot of the homesteaders that I followed at that time were using Azure, and I Googled them, and I ordered from them once, and they kept our home stable during that time. And I started taking from my dreams and saying, look, this isn't going to be a dream forever. And Dean and I were sure of that. And so we just didn't know it would come about as soon as it did. And that's when I started looking into and studying other homesteaders and saying, okay, how do I do this? And where do I start? And Azure actually was where I started because it all started with food. Oh, good, good. Yes. Okay. Well, then you know what? I will start working on that video about the beef fat rendering into tallow. I'm getting some good responses about that. I will start working on that tomorrow. And hopefully it'll go a lot better because I don't want to waste anything. But especially when you've you know spent time and money, you don't want to waste anything. So what are some ugh, for a lot of you that are Azure um, customers? There we go. See, customers. Are one of the biggest things that you order that you find yourself ordering repeatedly, or that you have started getting in large quantity because you found yourself ordering it so much? I'm trying to do another. Um, and it's not an inventory, but I'm trying to watch that for my historical orders and say, okay, you're ordering this, 7 times a year. And, I want to, if it's not something that I'm currently buying in 25 pounds, I kind of want to bring it down a bit. I go back through my historical orders at the end of the year and I look and say, okay, I ordered and used, because I know what I have in my pantries. I ordered 100 pounds of flour, sugar, potatoes, and carrots, and we're using them. We're into a new year now, and I filled the flour jar today. I probably have 3 inches left in the bottom of my 5-gallon bucket. It holds 25 pounds. So I'm thinking about ordering 50 pounds going forward. And that's why I also want to be well during the garden season, because my plan is to have a lot of potatoes, onions, and carrots, because I order a lot of those. And we use a ton of them. We use it all, but for the two of us, those are major staples for us. And so I thought, you know what? Potatoes are supposed to grow really good out here in Colorado. I've never done it. My onions did beautifully this year, and my carrots did beautifully. So I want to be able to have garden season and grow 100 pounds of potatoes. Keto burger buns. First time trying. Did you make them? Or they just come like hamburger buns in a bag? I've never heard of that. Keto burger buns. I guess yeah. I'll have to look at that. I've never heard of that. I've never even seen it on there. But thank you for letting me know that. I don't know much about the keto diet. I haven't done it. Carbonate is the brand. I'm gonna write that down. I want to look into that. Thank you for that. Have any of you ordered the Alexandre half and half milk, any of their products, heavy cream? I ordered the heavy cream one time. And of course, they're in Oregon. And so I thought it'd be fine because we're in Colorado. We get our Azure order just like several days after. It's not even a full week after we order. When I lived in Virginia, it was on that truck for a good while. So, but the last time I got that half and half, I put it in the refrigerator 2 days and it was already chunking up. And so I'm reluctant to order again. I want to so bad because I don't like buying heavy cream at the store. And that's one of those things. That's one of those things I have learned that, you look at it and you're like, oh, I'll buy that for a recipe when I need it. It never fails. You need heavy cream when you don't have it. So it's something I'm starting to stock. But half and half, I was buying half and half and putting it in the freezer. And for us, when I would defrost that, the half and half, it was kind of grainy like, and I want to be able to use it in my coffee too. And it just, no, it was not. Chocolate milk. Oh my gosh. That's such a treat. And how far are you from Oregon that you're able to get their chocolate milk and it's not bad or anything like that? Does it keep well for you? Grainy. Yeah. See, that's my whole thing is when I pour something into my coffee, if it starts floating around or anything like that, I can't deal with that. I will do it for cooking because you're cooking it anyway. So I use that half and half, like when I was making cheese sauce and stuff like that. South Carolina, whew, that is a beautiful place where you are. You get to garden year round, probably. Yeah, I do. There are things about the South that I really miss, but and those long gardening seasons are one of them. And my family, I do miss my family a lot. Um, Even though I get to see them basically once a year, I miss them. Um, Azure has a hub on the East Coast. I did not know that. Wow. Huh. That's good. Where in Virginia did you move from? Oh my gosh, I'm finding out what a small world. I mean, I am so glad because um, having our group, our community, I am really remote. And it really helps me to feel connected, to be building, relationships because I'm not the same person as I was. And, we used to socialize and stuff. And like I said, I was out yesterday. We had errands to do after my doctor's appointment and all that. And I got in the truck and I told Dean, let's go home. I'm done. With people today. So, but I think people going into Walmart and gas stations and doctor's offices, I think it's a big difference from having a group like we do here. Rockville, 40 minutes from Charlottesville. We're from Charlottesville. We moved, yeah, that's exactly where we moved from. Dean retired from the University of Virginia. It really, really changed within, fast within the last from 2019 to 2021, 22. When we left, we could see where it was going. And yeah, it's sad because that's a beautiful part of the country. It just wasn't for us anymore. It was time to, it just happened. We weren't planning on it. It just kind of happened. Hmm. We did go to Richmond, so we did pass it. So is it out by Shannon Hill? Yeah. Yeah, she left 2021 for the same reason. It's it's sad. It's sad that our society is devolving at such a rapid rate. And that's what I was going to say before is that I'm really thankful for our little community here because I've talked to, other our longtime friends and stuff, and they've asked me, do you have a problem with, like, we hear a lot of people, YouTubers and stuff, which I'll get to that in a minute. They start having problems emotionally and stuff like that because people can be so cruel. They get on or they troll them. That's the term. And they're so rude and hurtful things. And some women have a really hard time with that. There's one in particular that I know of. And I'm just like, thankfully, I have not had that problem. Oilville exit. Okay. I had, in the very beginning, I had one man because I had done an Azure haul and showed that I purchased Dr. Bronner's soap. I will just go ahead and tell you now. And he sent me a nasty message saying that I can't believe you support Jews. And that was it. I have no tolerance, none for that whatsoever. And I didn't even respond to him. I completely blocked him, and that was it. That was over. Um, so that's the only time. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. We lived in Charlottesville, Virginia. Yeah. And um, it was just so cool because places around us, the East Coast is like really, there's a lot of places there that, you don't realize until you get older. Like we had Schuyler, Virginia was real nearby. That's Walton's Mountain. I used to go up there and do my craft shows all the time. My brother has been down to, I think it's in North Carolina, um, Mayberry, Andy Griffith's, place. And yeah, so there was some really fascinating stuff. Um, Nostalgic too. Out here, the mountains out here are fabulous. It makes the Blue Ridge look like rolling hills. And that's how I fell in love with Colorado, was the mountains. And there's a lot of Western historical things, like, you can see, there are places where, we've gone and visited where Bat Masterson was sheriff. There's just a lot of Southwestern history. We've been to the Kit Carson Museum when we went to visit friends in Taos, New Mexico. Um, so there's a lot of history out here, a lot of neat history out here that we are really into. Dean and I are really into that period of Western history. So, hi, Prepper 101. I thank each and every one of you guys for being here tonight. This has been good for me. Um, and I would like this to be able to be on, a more regular thing. And I hope it's good for you too. I feel like when I make a video and I post it and you guys make comments on it and everything, I feel like, you know, um, I try to answer each and every one because I feel like it's a little visit. When I'm doing a video in the kitchen, it's literally um, as if I opened up the front door and you're sitting in my kitchen with me. There is nothing pretentious about me whatsoever. Um, the way you see me on videos is if somebody rolled up here, that's the way they would see me. It's real life for me. Um, but it's really good. And you guys are a great community. Like I said, I've only had one nasty comment, and it was a man, and I took care of it right away. And I've never had a problem since. And I say that all the time when people ask me. I'm like, no, I have an awesome community that we're building together because everybody's so kind and fantastic, and we're praying for you. Loads of people are praying for you, Sarah. And that really, when you're in the throes of something like this, makes a difference, because I do have a deep faith, and I believe strongly in prayer, and it makes me feel so much better that you don't feel so alone at all. I've talked a lot tonight. I've gotten a lot of great comments and questions and things like that, but you know Azure halls will be coming back. um, I will also, let me know if this is a good time for lives. The reason I did it this way is because I had more, I think, votes or whatever it was, response from East Coast. So I want to make it for a good East Coast time. And I figured, you know, based on my life, I was like, okay, 7 o'clock their time wouldn't make it too crazy, my time. And so let me know. So, I mean, what kind of crafts do I do? I'm a quilter. I quilt and I do a little bit of sewing. I've made a couple things I've made a skirt and pajama pants, super, super easy stuff. And I crochet. I do a lot of crocheting. Um, but yeah, it's time slot 7:51 here. Okay, good. That works for you on the East Coast, the 7 o'clock time slot. Okay, perfect. Well, then I'm going to keep it that way. And if you guys, we want to keep doing this, I figure Friday nights would be easier for most people because most people, I guess, I don't know. I mean, but I think most people, I think about my, previous life, and that Fridays were always better for me because I wasn't trying to gear up for work the next day. But some of you may be in careers where you are gearing up for work. So, um, yeah, but those are mainly the crafty things that I do. Um, yeah, Dean, you talk about somebody that can do everything. I'm gonna brag on my husband because he he had a lot of hobbies. Um, he still has them, but I mean he's a he is a, I don't know how you say it, parachutist. He was, what is it called, honey? He Anyway, he jumped out of planes um, for sport. Skydiver. See, that's what these meds do to me. He was a skydiver. He hasn't gone since we've been out here because there's no place to go unless you're going to Utah. He's also a master rigger. So, talking about somebody in the sewing machine, he had a room in our old house with like a dozen machines in it. And he's a master rigger and he can fix any type of sail for boats, parachutes, major heavy canvas things. And when our daughter, she played softball, she had a very expensive softball bag given to her because it was torn up at the top near the zipper. It was all frayed and it was just a mess. And so he's like, "Oh, I think I can fix that." And I thought, okay. When I was expecting like a patch or something. He brought that bag and brought it up to us, and it looked brand new. It's amazing. So he's does a lot of woodworking, as you guys could tell. He's built all the cabinets and counters and stuff here. When we moved in here, no lie, it was four walls and a roof. You could hear echo. I was working off of camping tables. It just, a lot has gone on in this place. Thank you. I've had a lot of people say that my daughter does look like me. And for a long time, I've had trouble seeing it because her biological father, he passed away a couple years ago. But I thought certain aspects, I could see her so much, like her dad, that I had a hard time seeing myself in her. But as she gets older, I see more similarities, especially when that picture we were side by side. Julie, hey, Julie Fultz that is on here. Sorry, and she is Marissa's godmother, and she's been a godsend to her because she's still, nearby where my daughter is. And so like when her dad died, she was there and she has adorned me in sunflowers. And thank you so much for your Christmas gift. And she sent me, if you guys don't know, she sent me this stuff called bag balm. And I'm glad that, I saw her popped on here because the stuff is awesome. I tried so many things. And I remember that she'd sent me, a message about the stuff, and her son used it and cleaned his hands up. Mine can still get dry a little bit, but I'm telling you what, I put this stuff on every night, and it is like they were when I was back east because there's so much humidity in the air back east. I never had really dry skin ever, and I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. And Dean saw what I was using. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, farmers swear by that stuff. and it really has worked. And he's, because I don't even think he knows. I don't even want to talk about, I wouldn't, the backs of my ankles, like where your foot, the balls of your feet were so dry. I mean, it was gross. I had never experienced that in my life. And so at night for a while, I put some of the bag balm on the balls of my feet and put my socks on. And they're like normal again. So Julie is so thoughtful. And thank you so much, because I had stuff that was, was helping, but nothing was working like that. Yes. Yeah, it did. It worked wonders on my hands and my feet. So thank you. So everybody's good with this time slot then. So that's 7 Eastern, 5 my time, 4 Pacific. Okay. And are Fridays good? If you could let me know that, if that's best for you. If there's another day, just let me know, because I'm pretty flexible. I can do my chores around this. And hang on. Dean?
What?
Did you bring in the chicken waterer?
I will.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a thing. Our 15 chickens, they're all doing great. We're still getting 6 eggs a day, basically averaged out. We will be getting a lot more in the spring, because you're supposed to get 1 egg per chicken per day. And they've slowed down. So I'm getting an average of 6. We were getting 10, but it's been so cold out here that the new waterer that I have for them, we're using a big tall one now that has like 4 nipples on it, and they have to kind of like peck at it to get the water to come out. What we had before that we had made was a bucket with little cups on it, and then they would be gravity filled. They still have managed to make a mess. So, but since it's been getting so cold here, we have to bring that thing in every single night because it freezes. And then, it can break those little pieces off. And last night, I woke up this morning, and the first thing that hit me, because I do the chickens right after I get myself ready for the day, and I was like, oh my gosh, I left that thing out there. So I have to boil water, take it out there, do a whole little thing. So it's just easier. He's going to bring it in for me tonight. My mayo wasn't a fail. Oh, yeah, it's never a fail. I took it as falling forward. You're right. It's not a fail if you learn something. And gosh, did I learn something that night? I had never had anything go so haywire on me in the longest time. I appreciate that, because it's hard to, sometimes it's hard to show your fails, because you're just vulnerable at times that way. And I've always been a little intimidated at times it's like, okay, let me get this right, before I show it to people. But then I start thinking about it, and I start thinking about the way I was when I was just dreaming about homesteading and was like researching and reading. And so when I saw somebody do something that I would have done not knowing, I was like, oh, great, I'm not alone out there. And I didn't intend to fail. I fully thought that I was going to have this great jar of mayonnaise and all this, but I was like, no, I'm not going to record and then edit it to death and, keep doing it. And it's just like, no, because I'm a real person, and I don't want anyone to ever feel like I'm not, like it's fake, oh, everything's so perfect all the time, because it's not at all. I got my dishes done just in the nick of time before we started this. And seriously, when I'm filming, it's not like, I've seen people finally, when they one girl was shutting her channel down, and she was like, I used to do this all the time, and everything was shoved into a corner, and she filmed, and I was just like, So not me, but I appreciate you seeing the honesty. You're right, Julie. You can't have success without failure. I don't know how much Julie knows about failure because she has a lot of successes, and I will tell you now because I admire her so much. She's my daughter's godmother, and very 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 close friend of mine. I've known her since before my children were born. Um, but I got a note from her, and I think I told her in a response. I almost cried because she said how proud she was of me for really, pursuing our dream and living our life and, living it publicly and all this. And it really happened so fast for us. We put our house up for sale. It was sold the next weekend, you know, within a couple days. Um, and it just happened. We put the house up for sale in March, and we were rolling out of Virginia in May. um, I knew that I would never have done that until my children were older, and when we moved they were 21 and 22. So but it really touched my heart because I've always admired her. She's successful, she's well educated, and I never dreamed that, you know sharing life like this would be such a big deal to so many people. It was a very vulnerable spot for me. Yeah, I got to the point when I was working on it that I knew that mayonnaise wasn't going to work. So I kept trying to do little things, thinking, yeah, I tried to save it. It didn't, and I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not reshooting this. I'm going to go ahead and do it. You are lucky. You found a property with established garden plus greenhouse and garden shed. Oh my gosh. Let me tell you, when we rolled up here, we were in a travel trailer. When we pulled in, it took us 9 days to get to Colorado, but we didn't just come straight. We made a vacation out of it. And that's how this YouTube channel got started. I made this YouTube channel to share with, friends and family that I thought would be, if they wanted to, our trip across country. And I only got bits and pieces because my GoPro wasn't working. And so we get out here, and I remember my dad saying, he used to say sometimes, like at Thanksgiving and stuff, can you imagine getting off of a boat and just seeing a wild country? And then, like, here you are. I thought that when Dean bought this property where we are now, um, we drove up it, and it was like, this is it. You know, he let me stay. He didn't let me. We stayed at hang on a second.
Chickens are outside.
Oh, why are they outside?
Two.
Sorry, hang on, guys.
To the right, to the right, to the right, to the right.
Oh my gosh. Our chickens are out. Two of them. We have an automatic door. If they don't get in there, we had a problem for the first 2 nights, and I was like flipping out, and I was on the tractor sitting out there watching them. And a friend that I've made out here, she's like, don't worry about it. They'll learn. Don't worry about it. So the first night I did worry about it. I went out there, I opened up the chicken door and shoved them in. And then the second night, one of them got left out. And one of the top of the pecking order, when the leghorns came down, and she let that girl have it. And I never had a problem since. And Dean just came in and said 2 chickens were in the coop. They didn't make it in. So I had to hand him the remote to the automatic door so he can shove them in. You're the greatest, Julie. Thank you. Oh my gosh, fenced in. No, here we got out, and it was like, we got very fortunate with this property. I will say that we have 40 acres here, and we have all the wood to last us the rest of our life. But there was nothing here. It was raw land. And so we had to, thankfully, we had along our property line, there was electrical, and we had to have that pulled in underground, our septic put in, and the cistern put in because there's no wells up here. And yeah. And so we stayed the month of June, the month of July, the month of August at a resort in town, and the next town over, they were newly opened. We stayed there that summer, but it was the first week of September. We rolled up here. I gotten spoiled by that resort, and we were having to fill the travel trailer, the tank, because we were hooked. We had full hookup. And here we were kind of like boondocking it. We were having to, refill our water tank on the travel trailer, and we couldn't run the microwave and the air conditioner at the same time, and it was just an eye opener. But I got to see them make the first dig on this property, the first scoop. I watched this house go up log by log, and got a lot of neat input because some things were changed that weren't in the original plan. There was no bathroom in the there was no window in the bathroom, and so we had one put in. Just little things, we shifted around. We punched one wall out, and just different things that you can do when you're in the midst of when you're doing it yourself. Strawberries, blueberries, and raspberry plants. I tried not very faithfully some strawberries out here last year and didn't do well, but I need to do more of that. I need to plan to do some landscaping around here, and I need to put in some berry bushes and things like that. Probably won't be this year though. But no, I told Dean, it's like, if you can find a place that has all your systems set up, that has, let's say, a garden, area already built and all this, and you can afford it, yeah, my hat's off to you. That's hard to come by. That is hard stuff to come by. Especially now, I mean, houses by themselves are expensive, but houses on land with, places that you can homestead on that are established. I say that, I shouldn't have said it like that, because you can homestead wherever you are. If you're wanting to live a certain lifestyle, I was content when we were in Virginia, but every year that, as I started delving more into homesteading, I was not satisfied. I was like, oh, I wish my garden were bigger. I had a 10 by 10 garden spot. That's what I learned in 10 by 10 little. It wasn't as deep. It wasn't deep at all. It was railroad ties, I think too high, that Dean had built. And then I did a container garden the following year, plus that. And, squirrels, I fought the squirrels that year and they won. But we were living on 3/4 of an acre, nice house, nice neighborhood, but just wasn't where my heart was, wasn't where his heart was. And we wanted chickens. And I think you could have had chickens there, but no, it just wasn't our setup. It wasn't, So when we were presented very quickly with the opportunity for him to retire early, because he was nowhere near retirement age, that we took it and ran. We're just like, you know what? The kids are grown. My daughter was living in an apartment across town. She had been for a year. My son was already 3 hours away. And I was like, it's now or never. I really felt that. Thank you. I think our story is a neat one. There's a lot more back stuff, but yeah, basically 10-month growing. I remember that 10 10-month growing season. That's awesome. In Virginia, I think it's a 220-day growing season, and here it's like 120 days. So when I first realized that, I was like, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do?" But it's been good because obviously I need to slow down a little. Everybody needs a season of slow. And the first year we had no slow. So now we are having a slow winter now, but being able to garden up through November into December is fantastic. But I just learn a lot from being in a new climate out here, and it's all good. We were meant to be here. Yeah, 120 days. And I thought that's why I didn't show it. I don't think I showed it. I planted a few things in late summer, thinking that I was like, okay, it'll grow in the cold. Like back east, you can grow broccoli and cauliflower and cabbages and all those types of things through the winter. You just go out and get them when you need them, and and I thought, well, you know what? They'll be fine, because it's going to be cold, but they're cruciferous vegetables. I planted cauliflower. I planted 2 as a test. They started coming up looking beautiful. They were about that high. I was all excited. We got our first hard freeze. It wasn't until, I want to say, the middle of October, or middle to end of October. I was back from Virginia, and those poor little things, they didn't make it. They'd make it in a Virginia freeze, but they didn't. Clearing the garden last week. Oh my God. No, our garden got cleared when I got back from Virginia in October. Yeah, October. Well, guys, we have had a wonderful visit, and I've gone over a little bit over than I planned to because I don't want to keep you guys too long either. But I am so happy to hear that you'd like to do this again. And so let me know if you'd like to do it bi-weekly, monthly, how you'd like to do it. I will keep the schedule of a Friday with those times: 7 East, 6 Central, 5 Mountain, 4 Pacific. And we will get on here and talk about anything you want to. I will keep you posted on what we find out next week. I'm just already gearing my brain for reconstruction surgery and trying to get in that headspace so that way, if they say, whatever they say, I'm not going to have my bubble burst like I did this year. So, Lynn, you're most welcome. It has been great, and I will see you soon. Thank all of you, and I will put it up on the community page when the next one will be. But please let me know, because your input is key. It's no point me getting on here and talking to myself, but I have so enjoyed this. It's been awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Michael. I know. So everybody have a great weekend. Take care, and I will see you again soon. Thanks for all the love and prayers. Talk to you later.